Hi, I'm Derek Shackelford with Shack Built, and this is Mike Dickey, the sales rep for Prosoco, and we're here to talk a little bit about some of his products today.
Today we're discussing the installation of an air and water resistive barrier system that incorporates liquid flashing materials along with a vapor permeable air barrier system.
So Mike, we've got three products here in front of us. Why don't you tell what each one's for?
Okay. As we begin the installation, we have to look at what we have involved in the project, being joint and seams. So if we're using a sheathing material, we're going to have gaps between each piece of sheathing, and we're also going to have screw or nail heads that have to be addressed before applying the air barrier system.
So now, Mike, would that be used predominantly for remodel, where you're tearing off old siding and putting and reusing the sheathing, or would that be for new construction as well?
I think these products are applicable in both existing and new construction. With existing, we can provide a much better air and moisture barrier system than normal. The traditional building wraps are suspect to installation abnormalities, and that we feel by looking at these fluid applied materials that the end user, the owner, is going to get a much more efficient and effective system.
Perfect. So today we have utilized a product, all three of these products on a renovation that we're working on, but most specifically we've been using one of these sausages. Now this one here is a joint and seam filler, which is what Mike was just talking about, but we just applied this to a window or a window frame. Tell us a little bit about that process.
Okay, so we've talked a little bit about the joint and seam filler would be used on the screw heads and the seams in the sheathing. When it comes to a rough opening, we feel that this is the most important part of the wall system and can be the most susceptible to moisture intrusion. So we provide a waterproof, breathable, fluid applied flashing in the form of a product called Fast Flash. Fast Flash is applied at 12 to 15 mils. It has a breathability factor of somewhere around 18 perms, allowing for any moisture vapor to be allowed out into the sheathed area, and with the proper air moisture barrier on there, that becomes a secondary drainage plane, and then moisture goes in and out the weep system. We will apply the material to 4 inches on the face and then 1 inch past the depth of the window, so that the back seal, being a product called R-Guard Air Dam, when they caulk the backside or the inside of the window, comes in contact with the Fast Flash, you virtually have a waterproof window opening now.
Now Mike, that air dam, would that be where most builders would utilize the low expansion spray foam?
They would use the low expansion spray foam, or even go down to just a basic acrylic caulk in the backside. And acrylics and this chemistry sometimes don't like each other. So if we stay with these sill-terminated polyethers, these products are designed to give you the best of urethane and silicone technology.
So you're saying that if we use the R-Guard system on the outside, we should probably use it on the inside as well, so the two different products don't have an adverse reaction.
Yes, they'll work synergistically. It's the same chemistry. They'll meld themselves together. The whole idea is to have one seamless system around your home, so that moisture vapor is allowed to diffuse itself through the wall, and this makes your building or your home much more energy efficient.
Perfect. Well, so you talked about running it on the outside and on the inside. Is there anything that any little tips that might make the process go a little bit faster? Any kind of specialty products that you guys use to spread that on, or anything like that?
Well, to get the 4 to 6 inches, you're going to need something that's pliable, a plastic paint scraper. We do manufacture some specific applicators to help the contractor adjust his width. You'll need a bulk or a sausage gun, caulking gun. This will slide in. We will snip off the end. We will put the cone nozzle onto the end. It will be snipped at the desired length, and then it's going to be applied in either a straight line or a serpentine installation, so that it can be spread evenly. We have quality control measures built into the product. As the applicator puts it on, the product will go down into a burgundy color, and as long as you do not see substrate below the color of the material, then it's applied at the desired millage of 12 to 15 mils.
Interesting. So at this point, it seems like we've got all of our joints and seams filled, right? And we've got our windows flashed. What's the next step with the process?
Well, I believe would be the window installation will go in. And in this case, normally residential windows seem to be a flanged window system. So once that flanged is adhered to the sheath or the substrate, then you're going to need to counter flash that with the flash 2 inches onto the flange and 2 inches onto the substrate, so that we have really a shingled effect system, so that if water gets into the wall system, once again it's allowed to get out without getting into your wall space.
So this is where most contractors would use a tape, a window tape that would go over the top of the window flange and on top of the plywood. But instead of using that, we're using another layer of the R-Guard window flash to flash the top and the sides of that window flange. Now, I noticed you didn't say anything about the bottom of that flange. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, if it's a commercial window, we're probably going to do the bottom of the flange because it is a different weeping system. But as a residential flange window, we're probably going to leave the bottom non-treated so that moisture can allow it to be evacuated out into the secondary drainage plane.
Perfect. Okay, so we talked a little bit about the ability to use these products on new construction and residential. We're working on a project right now that is a renovation. The front side of the house had old wood shake shingles, and when we stripped those off, it looked like a shotgun blast. There were nail holes all over the place. One thing that our guys kind of underestimated was how much product that they were going to use when they were applying that. So they started out with the joint and seam filler, got all the major seams and cracks, went on with the fast flash and went around the window flange, and then they went straight to the R-Guard Cat 5, and this is the rain screen product, and just immediately started rolling that on. Now, after that initial application, we recognized that some of those little nail holes didn't quite fill up. Now, were we applying it incorrectly? Did we get it on too thin, or do we need to go back and fill all those nail holes?
Well, I believe it was applied correctly. You know, we're talking about, again, 12 to 15 mils. So this isn't what we would term a thick film system. We're not bringing waterproofing from the foundation up onto your wall. Maximum breathability and water repellency with this product is achieved at 12 to 15 mils. But unfortunately, certain size penetrations, somewhere around 1/8 to 1/4 inch, will not be bridged by this product because of its formulation. So prior to installing it, it might have been better to take the joint and seam filler and just hit every hole to fill in, because the joint and seam filler has some fibers in it. It's a little more structural as the waterproofing material. So it might have been best to maybe to pre-treat those nail holes and then not rely on the air barrier system itself.
Fair enough. That's good advice. So now that we've got the rain screen material on, what do we do?
Well, we make this system interchangeable parts. They're all the same chemistry. The R-Guard joint and seam filler being a little slightly different technology, it has to be covered up with the air barrier. So to fix repairs, say somebody gouged the wall system, or they put another pipe fitter came in and put a hole in it or something, then we can come back with the fast flash and fix that repair, and the fast flash can be left exposed. It does not have to be covered up. So repairs are very economical.
Perfect.
You want to talk about the spray bottle? What were you showing us?
Oh, yeah.
We did a little demonstration outside with some water. These products are moisture cured, depending on the right conditions. Today, believe it or not, in December, it's 73 degrees. So the moisture reaction is occurring due to the humidity in the air. So if we would be compromised by a brief rainstorm and the material is in place, you can notice here that by spraying it with water, it doesn't compromise the system as it's already starting to cure.
Wow. Okay.
Anything else?
do you feel like we got a good enough explanation for the talk over on how we applied everything around the window? And
Yeah, you talked about the 4 inches,
Okay.
talked about the S of the line.
Okay.
Talked about the spreader,
Yeah. Talked
Yeah.
about the spreader.
the caulk gun.
Yep.
You even said the part about snipping it too,
Yep.
which was good. Yeah, I think we
Okay.
got it. I'm just going to get a couple shots of these products.
Okay.
Oh, the only other thing, if you really want to talk about, is the fact that cleanup is normally with denatured alcohol
That's
or
probably a
mineral
good one.
spirits.
Do it
Yeah.
whenever you're ready.
These products are moisture cured and chemically manufactured, so they're not water carried, so they don't clean up with just soap and water, but it just requires a gallon of denatured alcohol or mineral spirits to clean up your tools.